I thought I'd do a quick video on this. Fellow YouTube viewer sent this stuff in to me. He said he had really no use for any of this. He works on tube equipment. He asked me, did I have any interest in it? I was, sure, send it along, because I am the parts hoarder. So, I said, yeah, send it along. Old transistors are good. Don't get me wrong, I buy lots of modern parts, but the reason I buy a lot of old parts is they're no longer available, especially if it's something that can't be substituted with a modern transistor. And sometimes some of the old stuff, yeah, it's hard to match exact specs. So, not knowing what might be in this lot, I said, sure, send it along. And there is some oddball stuff in here. Some of this stuff, honestly, it's junk. It's not marked. I have absolutely no idea or no way of knowing what it is. I mean, short of spending a lot of time behind a curve tracer and trying to, you'd almost need a semiconductor parameter analyzer, but the majority of it's marked. So, that's fine and dandy. That's all, can be cataloged, inventoried, and, then put away. But there are some, and I almost wonder if some of this stuff was, I don't want to say prototype, because there's a couple transistors I ran across. There's no can top. You can hold it up and there's the actual transistor inside. So what he sent was 2 cigar boxes. Well, I'm not going to bore you with making you watch me open a cardboard box and pull out a bunch of packing material. So it's on the bench. I started unpacking. I thought, thank you. So for starters, thank you for sending this in. Like I say, always take goodies. So like this bag, yeah, this stuff's probably going to go. These are old crunchy, and I mean crunchy, just like a lot of diodes. Yeah, you can see the oxidation, all the dirt coming out of there because the cans. So these probably got damped. Yeah, the leads are heavily corroded, so there's no way of knowing what they are. There's a couple gold lead transistors in there, and yes, those will have to get. Actually, these won't go into trash, but to recycle. I have no way of knowing what these are because this is a lot of them. And now there's a bunch of these in little envelopes. The envelopes are marked, so those are fine. It may not say on the transistor, but as long as somebody marked the package that they're in, hey, that's a good thing. So yeah, it's looking like these are recycle. So yeah, I don't throw anything electronic in the trash can. I may occasionally, from time to time, you'll hear me say, yeah, trash, but I don't mean trash can because. Yeah, there's hazardous material here, especially with old stuff like this. There's guaranteed to be lead. But let's see, what do we got here? This was a mishmash one. Got some crud off the bench here. This just looked like a bunch of mixed stuff. But these are marked. And most of the transistors, it looked like they're actually, I think probably everything here is probably Texas Instruments. Get it to focus on the logo. It's not going to focus on that little logo. Come on, camera. Yeah, it just doesn't like that. But maybe if I grab a bigger transistor, grab one of these 2N, or are these 2077s, I think. Yeah, there. You can see the Texas Instruments logo on there. Little Texas with the state, logo. But yeah, anyhow, that's a GA959, and honestly, I'm going to have to look up pretty much all of this. Yeah, that one's pretty much useless, no markings on it, and it's obviously not something as simple as like a NPN or a PNP transistor, because 6 leads. So yeah, trying to figure out what that little guy is. Could be an early FET, well, even then, it's a multi-section something. Here's another one, no markings. All that has on it is a B, is 3 terminals. Paint dot. I mean, you can see these are good high-end parts. I mean, gold-plated. Another one, nothing. So yeah, all that's mostly recycled. Actually, there was that one transistor. So we'll set him off to the side. Like I say, as long as I can identify it, it's perfectly suitable to keep. Now here's an envelope of, actually I think these are 6 lead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there's 6 leads on these. But the envelope's marked. So now I just need to figure out what the hell a X358 is. I'll have to. I got my research cut out for me. Luckily, I have lots of old manuals. There's another one. So I can probably look up a lot of these. Yeah, this does say on it 2N3014 from the looks of it there. And again, none of these are marked. There's a whole bag full of them. There's one actually with long leads. Oh, that's obviously in the wrong pack. And that has no markings. But even the ones, if they're marked, because there's some mishmashness, I don't know what other way to put it, some mishmashness going on here. So even if I look this transistor up and find out, what I want to do is I'll then test it to make sure, if that if that number comes out as an NPN transistor and there are PNPs in the envelope, then yeah, obviously it's not what it says it is. So like I said, I'm going to have to identify them and then actually just stick them in like my little peak tester and give them a try. All of these are marked. And good grief, do they all have different numbers? It's kind of looking that way. Again, all Texas Instruments. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be sorting through these today. There's just going to be a lot of, and that's one of those things, I don't have a lot of time to do this kind of stuff. I enjoy actually sorting through parts. I just don't have time for it anymore. So this bag is marked 70, yeah, whatever the hieroglyphics says there. Anybody has an idea? I don't know. I've never been much at being able to read other people's cursive. That's why I print everything. That way the next sack that gets all my stuff. Not marked. Empty envelope. Yeah, and there's some big bags here. Just overflowing, I mean. You have to realize, back in the day, transistors were expensive. I mean, holy shit expensive. When semiconductors first came out for the first, few decades, transistors were expensive, man. That's why, solid state was around for a good piece of the vacuum tube era. They just didn't use them in most stuff because they cost so blasted much to make. I mean, there's pounds of them here between some of these bags. And these are marked. These are actually kind of an interesting can design. I mean, it's standard can package, but look how tall that can is. Got a little crimp around the top there, some sort. But these are, I'm really not sure. I'm going to have to, do my homework again. 138, 142. I'm assuming those are date codes. It's probably the 028 is the part number. So yes, you're not going to see part numbers like you see on a lot of modern components that are, 50 digits long. They were just starting to make a lot of this shit, so the part numbers are very small. So yeah, they're all 028s from the look of it. Nothing written on the bag. And here's a big honking one. I mean, you watch the bench top move when I dropped that. There's a shitload of transistors in there. And oh my god, I think they're all different. Oh my god, it does say miscellaneous. Woo! But they're marked 033, 033, 083, 083, and 003350. So yeah, that one's definitely worth sorting through because they're marked. Like I say, marked components are fine. Here's some of the ones. If you've never seen what's inside of a little transistor, actually, looks like there's a couple of them in here. I almost wonder if maybe these were like prototypes or production run errors, maybe. I mean, like I say, man, that's a lot of money in that bag. Maybe not today by today's standards, but man, back then that was, whew, I hate to even imagine. But there we go. There's one you can actually see, inside that empty. God damn it! Forget the camera to focus. Try moving it down here a little bit. So I'm not holding the camera up with a lot of stuff in the background. But you can see there's just the wire leads come up through in a tiny little, whatever type of material they're using, silicone, germanium, But the leads just come up, just sandwich in there. That's actually the transistor in there. The rest of the can's basically a heat sink, more or less. And actually, in the case of this one, it's not really so much heat sink in it because there's nothing actually in direct contact with the can to actually transfer heat. Or if you actually pull some other styles apart, you'll actually see that. And I can't say it looks like these are marked. No. Huh. Well, that answers that question. I said silicon and germanium. They're silicon. The problem is, I don't know silicon what. I might actually hold on to these. At least some of them. I mean, even though I don't know what they are, it's one of those things, you get desperate and you need a transistor one day, you can, well, I've got some old unmarked ones I can try. You know, then dig through and rummage through to see if you can find anything. Nothing written on this one. And what in the hell are they? It says H-09. T1 or TI, so it's probably, oh, it's a light. I wonder if that's an early LED. It's got a lens in the end. Holy smokes. Now, I'd probably, well, I think I'd pretty honestly say I'd never use that, but from a collector's standpoint, which I, of course, collect old stuff, that's collectible. I think that's actually an LED. I do believe that might be what they are. And there's a polarity marking. It has a paint dot on one side. But if you look there in the end, there's a little clear lens. Might be really, really early LEDs. Wow. I've never seen those before. So definitely gonna have to fire one of them up on a power supply. Of course, being my luck, they'll end up being infrared LEDs and won't be able to see anything. I'll have to go get my blasted night vision goggles out. Which I do have. I got night vision goggles, night vision scope. That's cool. That just has coolness factor, man. That's definitely vintage electronics. Oh, here's another. Oh no, that's just a little tiny short one. No markings, and no markings, and nothing on the envelope. So there. Oh, what do we got? Wow, there's some more. Oh, you old guys. It's older than me. Well, I mean, well, no, I probably wasn't even around when this shit was made. Honestly. But some of you guys that were around in the real early semiconductor days are going to have to let me know. I've never seen, I have to assume that's an IC. And it looks like, holy Christ, they've got part numbers handwritten on them. Yeah, they've got every single one. The camera back down. It looks like every single one has stuff handwritten on it. You can see that. So somebody painstakingly made these little guys. I mean, hell, for all I know, they could be resistor networked, but it's in a... For Pete's sake, stop moving around there, little guy. Every one, if I get the reflection of the light just right, you can see it on there. Every single one has something written on it. There's one that has even more leads than the other ones. It has leads coming out the end as well. Again, these are just, obviously I'm probably never going to use because I work mainly on radios, the occasional television. I ain't never seen anything like this in communications equipment. But these are definitely not recycle pile stuff. These are just too cool. These almost feel like making a little display case for them. That's just so cool. Early. I don't want to call them dip package because the leads aren't bent over. I mean, they almost remind you of surface mount the way the leads come out the side. They're not bent down. But, you know, like I say, every single one's got a different number on it. Could be serial numbers. You know, they'd have known what they are. And of course there's nothing written on the envelope. There's actually one more in there. But yeah, I'm going to have to put that over there with that LEDs, lights. I do have some really old semiconductors. Like I say, don't throw anything away, at least as long as it's marked. And I do have some, man, some of the old semiconductors, they were big honking things. Almost just make a little display case one day just to demonstrate with some of the early electronics how big stuff used to be. And that critter is not marked. Yeah, that paper clip's been on there for a few decades. We can safely get rid of that. It'll just be easier to tear the top there. Man, this is almost like an electronics archaeology course. What the... Is that... I think there's... This had to have come directly out of Texas Instruments lab. This... Yeah, these are transistor parts. That's what these are. These look like pass-throughs, probably. And here's another one. Actually, you can see this one better. You can really see the silicon wafer in this one. Try to move the camera down a little bit farther here again. That's one of the nice things about old solid state is if you can get into it, you can more clearly see the inside. But you can see there's the wafer with a lead. You can see, so the lead that's closest to me over here, that attaches to the one lead there, or one side. Same thing on the other side. A little wire comes over, the bond wire, and then that disc sits down and is attached to the actual base down here. Yep, so there's, but that's what I was talking about, heat sinking. Where that other one, all three leads were up off of the body. This one, you can see it's actually attached to the base there, and that's so the heat can then be transferred into the actual can that would be over top of it. But yeah, this almost had to have been, God knows where this came from, but I'd have to say this had to come out of Texas Laboratories, hell, R&D department, like as in semiconductor R&D department, where they made these things. I mean, parts with handwritten numbers on them, parts that never had can tops put on them, parts for making transistors. I mean, yeah, and there's this cigar box here. This is just looks like mainly all 2N 277s. But there are a lot of envelopes down in there. That's really got me wondering what other goodies might be in these little envelopes. Might be some of those little more of those oddball transistors. I mean, if there's not, it's no biggie, but that's just coolness, or those ICs. There's more transistors. Not marked on the package. These are marked on top though. Probably there's 127, 64, 14, 27. Yeah, I mean one's gonna be a manufacturer code, date code, and the other one of those numbers is going to be the part number. They're all exactly the same, so I don't know which ones. Actually, 6414. So 127 is probably going to be the number, and if I had to guess, these were made in 1964. So yeah, those are probably Texas Instrument 127s. Another package. Pack as it falls on the floor. Come back, little guy. See if any of these are marked. And they are not. No markings whatsoever. You gotta wonder, did this come from like a surplus auction? Oh, there's some more coolness factor stuff in there. And what do we got? I'll get back to that. 5 Vico rejects. Aha! Yep. So this came out of a manufacturing plant. All of this stuff came out of Texas Instruments manufacturing plant. I mean, if it says rejects on it, that right there I mean, there's transistor parts. I mean, that should be the one giveaway that it came out of the manufacturing plant where they were making these things. I'm trying to get it open without ripping all the writing on the front there. If there's any more they're just normal transistors from the looks of it. Let's see if any of these numbers match what's on the front of the package. What do we got here? 065? No. What do we got here? 217? No. If these are all the same number. Yes, either that or maybe there's 1, 2, there's 5 transistors here, and there are 5 numbers. And they are all the same part number. They're all 065s. Whew, that's the only thing now. I gotta wonder, honestly, do I ever want to use any of these? Think about that. If I got packages that say rejects, are all of these rejects? An easy way to tell is if I can cross-reference the numbers over and get some specifications, I can just basically, because I have transistor analyzers, I can actually stick them in under full operating load. As long as I can get the specs on the transistors, I've got transistor analyzers. So, I could, in the case of this one, if I can cross that over and actually get data, then I can go through and sample on some of these bags where it's all the same thing, and I can actually test them under full load, actually a little bit over, rated load. And if they survive, then it's probably safe to assume they're fine. But yeah, some of these, yeah. So yeah, there's a bag of rejects. Oh, actually, 065, which was the number on them. So yep, that's what it is. That 3-digit number is the part number. So, and I think the date code was 62 on these. Yes, 6217. So these probably made in 1962. And maybe the 8681. I'll look at it again. Yep, 8681. That's probably a batch number, because those numbers they're all on the transistors. So, but here was another interesting one. More early widgets. I don't know what else to call them. Made by Texas Instruments, so I'm going to assume they're early transistors. Now this could actually, I don't know. I've never seen the manufacturing of an IC, to tell you the truth, so I don't know. Maybe this is what's inside. I know what modern ICs look like on the inside. I've seen pictures and videos of manufacture of modern semiconductors, but I don't know. Maybe old early ICs, maybe this was what was inside. And then they'd had bond wires come over to the leads, and then the package put on them. I know a lot of the early ICs, because I have a bunch of them, they actually had, now they were military, which was a big buyer of semiconductors in the early days, because they were the only ones that could afford them. NASA, the government, and whatnot. But the mil specs one would have a ceramic substrate on either, because it was actually 2 pieces of ceramic with like an epoxy in the middle, and the actual, integrated circuit itself was sandwiched in between there. I wonder if this is what's actually in some of those. I'd almost need to pull out a really early IC, one of those, take it out in the milling machine, mill through the top layer, and see if something like this is actually what's inside. But yeah, there's some more of them. Now these don't have anything written on them, and these actually look like they are ceramic on the bottom. One side's white, the other side's got the metallic gold layer, so it's almost a sandwich. Yeah, just looking, that's kind of sandwiched together. But and then here's, I assume these are actually transistors, probably. It's got, I just broke a lead off. Oh no! Trying to unfold it. Oh darn it! But camera, come back into focus. Hocus pocus, focus. Oh, you're not going to focus anymore? The hell with you then. I'll move you. There we go. But yeah, look looks like that's probably what that is. Early transistor. That'd be easy to ohm out and figure out if it is a transistor. Just check continuity. Actually, it'd be easy to tell if it's an NPN or a PNP. But, yep, so there you go. Yeah, like I say, I'm really, really leery about what do I have here. Is this all, not junk, but is it rejects? Is all of this rejects from Texas Instruments? Did this come out of their design lab? Or was this like quality control? These were pulls that they'd pull off the production line to check quality control in their labs. I really don't know. 2N277s. Man, that rings a bell. I know I've got some of them. Let me just pull that up on the Google Monster and see exactly what the heck they are. Get a tablet unlocked here. 2N277. There's some... Oh, we'll actually look at the one from the Radio Museum. Collector info. Oh, well, I got some collectibles here for you. So there's an early Motorola we can see. Yep, same screw base, the stud sticking out. So yeah, definitely. Actually, that's out of the 1979, 1980 guide. And it's saying here 1969-70. Yeah, I'm not sure what the dates are on these. Maybe 71. Looks like all of these have... Well, no, there's 118, but they all have a 3-digit number. So you have part number, and then there's... I'm not going to focus. There we go. There's another number. Damn reflection. There's another number right there. Most of them say either 121 or 181, so it was probably year ending in 1. So probably 1971, I'd think, maybe. But, yeah, like I say, definitely some cool stuff here. Even if I never use any of it, there's just coolness factor here, especially that one little envelope that had all the other little ICs in it. That's just, man, how cool was that? And the transistors without can tops. Some of those are in bags here. So, yeah, I really get the feeling they're either all of this is rejects or they were all pulls off of the production line, probably, off of a wherever Texas Instruments made components back in the late 60s, early 70s, actually early 60s, because hell, some of this stuff was, what, 1964, I think, some of the date codes I saw. So, yeah, that's just too cool, man. I mean, wow. Actually, I want to dump out some more of this big monster bag here. This seems to be a mix, just see if it all looks about the same. Yeah, they all look like they're all about the same. Hell, we'll just rip the damn thing open. I'm not going to reuse that bag. It's ready to fall apart anyhow. Man. That's just, wow. That's, like I say, back in the day, and they're starting to avalanche onto the floor. Come here, little guy. Oh. Come here, darn it. I just really think that's probably what this stuff was. It was pulls, and that's probably 1966 manufacture. 66. 69 maybe. It's one of those ones that has a really thick base to it. But transistors, and there's more falling on the floor. But transistors, and more transistors. Ah! Yeah, that was under the fingernail one there. Ooh. Oh, no blood. I hate it when I do that. Stick my hand down into a bag of leaded components and shove one of these terminals right up through underneath my fingernail. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd just be curious to know where this stuff came from. I mean, it's a cool factor, like I say, I got it. But, yeah, some of this stuff, I'll probably stick them, I'll dust off the semiconductor analyzer, which I rarely use other than, doing matched pairs of RF final transistors. But I'll stick some of these on there. I'll see if I can cross over some of these numbers. Well, obviously not that one, has no number on it. But ones that have numbers, I'll stick them in, let them cook for like a week straight, and if they survive running it slightly over their maximum rating, then it's probably safe to assume they were fine. They might have just been pulled off production line for random sampling. But the ones that definitely said rejects, yeah, well, we know that's rejects. So there you go. There's just some freebies. Oh, there's a can top. more transistor parts. But like I say, there's just I appreciate that, sending me all this stuff in. Like I say, I'm kind of worried now. Are they any good or not? But easy way to find out is run them through a torture test and see if they survive or not. But yeah, some of that stuff's cool, man. Especially those. Oh God, if those are LEDs, I'll do a separate video on them. I'll figure out what envelope the hell they were in. I think that's those little ICs. Yeah, that's the ICs. Okay, where in the hell did they go? Christ, I done lost them. Transistor. That's those other ICs. Ah, they're here somewhere. They're probably laying underneath this blasted bag. If I can get some light out of these things, I'll probably do a separate video on these. I've never seen an LED. I'm going to have to assume it has to be an LED. I can't see that being an incandescent light bulb being made by Texas Instruments. It definitely has a TI on it. So it's either a light emitting diode or I don't even know. God, I don't even know if they made IR detectors back then. But it's got a number of 60H on it. It's got TI 60-H. But yeah, I'm going to have to stick that on a power supply and see if I can get any light out of it. So there you go. If I can get some light out of one of those, I'll probably do a quick little 2 or 3 minute video on that just to show that they actually work. Hopefully they're not little miniature lasers and burn my eye retinas out. I know they're not. Didn't have that kind of stuff back then. But yeah, so there you go. There's some really early semiconductors. Yeah, got my work cut out for me now. I don't know if these are all supposed to be rejects or if they're, well, though I can't see them putting terminal protectors. There's that part. No, those are, yeah, they've got terminal protectors. I can't, well, that might have been automated, though, them putting those on there. I'm just talking to myself, trying to think, would they have gone through that hassle if it was a reject? But yeah, if they're pulling them off the line doing samples, these could have already, the little terminal protectors there could have already been put on. But yeah, in any case, I'll torture test some of them, see if I can get the smoke to come out. Not that any smoke would really come out of them; they'd just stop working because these are in these are in sealed metal cans. So yeah, there's not going to be a lot of smoke coming out of a sealed metal cylinder. But so there you go. I appreciate that. Like I say, freebies are always welcome. I love getting junk. I know I love giving junk away to people. So there you go. I want to put a quick finish on the video. I'm not going to do a separate video on these little things. I found the little envelope. Just through some really quick testing, I've come to the conclusion what they actually are. They're light sensors. Thought they might be LEDs. Well, it's kind of the reverse. It's a sensor. So I had it hooked up to a scope probe. Long story short, I noticed that when my hand was waved over top of it, I'd have a lot of, just atmospheric inner noise showing up on the display. But anytime light hit that, flatline. So, aha, it's changing resistance value. And sure enough, that's what it's doing. So I've got it hooked up to the multimeter here, and you can see it's hovering around 50 to... Now I have the refresh rate set to fast. That's why there's an F right there. So it's just flashing by really fast. But you can see, I'll bring it up here, as I rotate it towards the light. It's like down to 1 meg. I rotate it back this way, I can get it to 40, 50... If I put my hand over top of it, I can get like 90 meg. Completely close it off. It's like 90 some meg. So, yep, that's what it is. It's a little light sensor. It just changes resistance depending on the light. So there you go. Just wanted to put a quick finish on there. Figure I wouldn't make it a separate video. I'll just stick it on this one. So there you go. That's what they are. Little tiny resistive light sensors.